Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a getting to know me video, and I have been planning this for quite a while, so I'm excited to finally be filming it. So if you are new to my channel, I created this channel as a homeschooling resource to give you different curriculum ideas, organizational ideas, and ways to invite Christ into your homeschool space. So if you're interested in those things, please hit that subscribe button and let's get into this video. Okay, since I don't have a huge following on YouTube or on Instagram, I really struggle with Instagram, guys. I didn't even have it until just a few months ago. That's a little tidbit about me that maybe you didn't know. And it's just, I'm not very good at it. I'm not one of those to be on social media a whole lot. And so, I don't know, I'm getting better. I honestly just don't even know how to use most of this stuff. And so I didn't ask any questions on Instagram, not that many followers. I don't even know how to do it. And then on YouTube, I did put out a poll and one person responded. So we're gonna address that question today, but we're just gonna go through a list that I made. It's right here. I just wrote it down. Some of these questions are from listening to other people. Some of them are just very basic things about me that maybe you don't know, and I thought I would share. So if you have other questions you'd like me to answer, write them down below and I'll add them to a list of getting to know you stuff. And we can do another video maybe in the next 6 months or the next year, depending how many questions you guys still have that I did not answer. So I'm just gonna be referencing this list. On the back of it is my square foot garden plan. So if you see that, there it is. But I'm gonna reference this list and just go through these questions. There's about 11-ish, I guess. It's not a set number, but we're gonna just start at the beginning and you guys are gonna get to know me a little bit better, whether you want to or not. Okay, the first question I'm going to start with is how long have I been married? So me and my husband have been married for almost 12 years. And along with that question, how did we meet? We met as missionaries for our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we met in Florida. We served our mission in Orlando, Florida, and we weren't allowed to date as missionaries, but when we came back, we dated and we were engaged 6 weeks after we started dating, which I know is very fast, and then a few months later, we got married. So we haven't really known each other very well beyond 12 years. You know, now we know each other super well, but we've known each other about 12 years and we've been married for about 11 and a half years. And then we have 4 kids. We have a 9-year-old, his name is Mazer, and then we have a 7-year-old. This is like taxing my brain. I'm like, how many kids do I have? We have a 7-year-old girl, her name's Alana, and then we have a 6-year-old boy, his name is Manti, and a 4-year-old girl, her name is Lydia. And we are not planning to have more children. After the 3rd one, I wanted to be done, but we felt like we were supposed to have another one. And so we had another one, and obviously I wouldn't trade her for anything. We love her to death, but I do not want any more children. Obviously, if something happened and we ended up with another child, we would gladly welcome that child. But I feel like our family's complete. I don't have the patience for more children. I don't like being pregnant. I don't like going through labor or anything like that. So I'm just done. I'm done having kids. I don't want any more kids. Okay, so hopefully that answers all the like family type questions. So let's move on to what's on my list next. Did you go to college? Yes, I did. So I went to college. I got my associate's degree, and it was just general science at a community college. And then I went to a university and I got a degree in human development. So I started my degree in Facs Ed, which is family and consumer science education, or home ec, in the schools, like teaching the cooking, the sewing, interior design, all those things. So I started in that major, but a year into my major, not a year, when I had a year left before I graduated, I decided not to do that, and then I switched majors. And luckily, the reason I could do that in my last year is because the majors overlapped a lot. A lot of the electives for one major were fit into the other one. So I only had to take a few classes that last year to still graduate when I was planning to graduate. So my major is in human development. I've mentioned that several times because I talk about a lot of books that I read that are human development related, and everyone, the question I guess not the question, the statement I always get whenever I tell people my degree is in human development is, oh, you know exactly what to do for your kids. Like, that's so great. And I'm always like, no, actually I know exactly what I'm doing wrong all the time. And that's not always so great. But I love that major. I love continuing to study it, something I just am passionate about and really enjoy studying. Okay, the next two questions are going to be talking about homeschooling. So how long we've been homeschooling and why we started homeschooling. That was a question from one of you guys. You wanted to know why we started homeschooling. So how long have we been homeschooling? Almost 4 years. We'll be going into our 5th year in the fall. So almost 4 years. And why we started homeschooling is a little bit of a lengthy story. I'm not going to tell it here. I think I explained most of it in a video about my son being autistic. And so I'll link that video down below. I'm pretty sure that's where it is, the whole shebang. If you want to hear the whole story, I think it's in there. But basically, we had just moved to California and my oldest was about to start kindergarten. And we knew he struggled a little bit. We knew he had some behavioral things, but we had just finished graduate school from back east. We had just moved and we just hadn't had a chance to even really explore options of what was going on. And so we started him in school not knowing how it was gonna go, just being like scared. I was scared that I was gonna get calls every single day that he was just being this horrible little child. And so my husband, we were very upfront. My husband talks more to people about things because he's a lot more diplomatic and just better at explaining things. If you make me mad, I just tell you straight up how I feel or I start crying. So either of those is not the greatest option most of the time. And so he went in and he met with the principal, he met with my son's teacher, all these things, making sure we were upfront about him having some different struggles. Well, just a few weeks in, we still are getting calls. He's being sent to the principal's office. He's just having to sit in the front, just sit there and work on something. He's not participating in class and they don't want to get an aide for him or anything like that. Like they don't have any extra help in the classroom. It's just one teacher in the kindergarten classroom. And so all these things just kept going on. We met with the teachers again and the principal and talked about it. But then in the end, they basically didn't want him in the school. I know that sounds harsh, and I wanted to be an educator, so I'm not trying to be mean to the public school system, but that's basically how it was. They said even if we got him tested for anything, they weren't gonna change anything they were already doing. And so he'd only been in school for about a month, and I was like considering homeschooling him, which my husband never thought I would say I wanted to homeschool my kids. I had done research on homeschooling when I was getting my degree in human development. I had to pick a topic to argue for or against, and so I picked homeschooling. And so I wasn't against the idea of homeschool, and all the research pointed to it being a good thing and all that kind of stuff. But I was just like, I don't want my kids at home. I like me time, and I like when it's quiet and all these different things. And so it was just, when I brought it up, he was very shocked that I brought it up. But I just kept seeing my son, this poor little boy who in his heart of hearts wants to be an obedient child. That deep personality that lies within each of your kids, they're different. And I have one child, my other boy, he's the sweetest thing, but he loves to be irksome. He loves to try to cause me to be angry all the time. Whereas my oldest, he wants to be obedient. He really, really does. And you can see it in him. And it was such a struggle. And he just come home so disappointed all the time, every single day. And I didn't want to lose him or have him not like to go to school anymore and learning, because me and my husband love learning so much. We love reading. We love all the things that have to do with education. And he was just miserable all the time. So we pulled him out of school. Well, he got suspended actually because he pushed a kid. And so they suspended him, and I just went in when I picked him up and told him that he was not coming back. And so that's how we started homeschooling. And here we are 4 years later, and people ask they asked us in the beginning, are you gonna just go for this first year and then see how it goes, or are you gonna homeschool long term? And after at that point I was like, well, we'll just take it slow. We'll see how it goes. And now I'm just to a point where I'm like, I don't think I ever want to go back to a public school system structure. I like where we're at. I feel like we're all in a good good place. And my son later was diagnosed with autism. And even with that, you know, I feel like we're still in a good spot, and he's comfortable at home, and he feels, you know, validated in everything that he is feeling. And when he's doing a good job, we try to make sure he understands he's doing a good job. And so I feel like it's been good. It's not to say that it hasn't been bumpy, because there's sure been a lot of big bumps and a lot of big holes that we've been falling into. And those first 2 years were like, there were several times when I was like, why am I doing this? This is insane. But we pushed through, and here we are. And even though it's still hard sometimes, I wouldn't change it. And I'm just grateful for where we're at. So that's why we started homeschooling, and that's how long we've been homeschooling. And so I hope you enjoyed that abbreviated version of the longest story, because that one was already really long. So hopefully you enjoyed it. So the next question is, what are some of my hobbies? And so if you've watched some of my other YouTube videos, you've probably been able to glean a little bit of information of what I like to do. One of those things is reading. I have book reviews every month on this channel, and it really helps me to stay on track for reading. I love reading romance novels, you know, clean romance. I don't like anything super graphic or anything. I like reading clean romance novels and historical fiction. And I love reading intellectual books as well, or things about human development, but they're a little bit harder to like motivate myself sometimes. There are some really good ones out there, and there's some others that are a little harder to read. So doing those book review videos actually helps me stay on track and make sure I'm constantly reading, because it's something that's really important to me. So that's one of my hobbies. That's what I spend a lot of time doing. And then I also just love doing crafts, or like sewing, anything like that, like a hands-on type stuff I really enjoy. I've always enjoyed doing that. I grew up doing lots of cross stitching. I learned how to sew. I did crochet, all these different things. And so I just really enjoyed that growing up, and I still like to do that. And then I also really enjoy being in the kitchen and cooking. I don't have the biggest sweet tooth. I still like to eat some sweets, but I love to bake. So my neighbors love it, because they get all the sweets, because I'm like, these have to be out of our house so not everybody else eats them. So we send them all to our neighbors. But I love baking. I love cooking. I grew up in the kitchen with my mom and grandma and learned some things there, but it wasn't really until I was like married and on my own trying to figure things out that I really learned to love it more, and discovered that I actually am fairly good at it, you know, that I have a skill for it that I didn't even know that I had. So I was grateful for that. I did go to culinary school for a little bit in high school. We learned a lot more just like kitchen etiquette type stuff, and a lot of knife skills, tons of knife skills, but it was a working kitchen. So we learned some different things there. And I just went, it was part of my, like I had an A, B day schedule in high school. And so on my B days, I spent my second half of my school day, I drove up to culinary school and went there. And I really enjoyed that. And that was a lot of fun. It wasn't to the point where I wanted to continue it. You know, it's very rigorous if you actually want to continue to be a chef and that kind of stuff. And so there was a point where I thought that's what I wanted to do, but then I decided that it just wasn't where I wanted to be in my life. So I still enjoy baking. I enjoy just being at home and cooking and baking in the kitchen. And I want my kids to also enjoy it, but I also struggle with letting them in. If you can't tell, I'm like a control freak. And so it's really hard sometimes to let them into the kitchen. And so I have to like make specific activities where they can just, it's just for them. If it's not for like neighbors or a big party or something, then I can disconnect and let them just kind of go a little bit crazy in the kitchen, and it doesn't bother me so much. And so that's kind of where that is at. But I really want them to learn and love to cook and be in the kitchen as much as I do. I just think it's an important skill, even if you don't do it for the rest of your life as far as a profession goes. I think it's valuable for anybody to know, to at least have basic cooking skills. Another one of my hobbies is hiking and being outside. We don't hike as much as I would like to. You know, we have life, right? There's a lot of things going on, and sometimes it's really hard with an autistic child and having other young kids and counting, like trusting everyone to listen when we really need to listen. And so we go on simpler hikes sometimes, and I take them on harder ones if I know I'm gonna have help, and my husband usually comes with us. But I've always loved being outdoors. We went hiking a lot when I was a child and a teenager, and it has always been something that I really, really enjoy. And I love sitting outside. I love just reading. Like, I'll just lay on the grass in the sun and just read. And it's one of my favorite things. I feel like it just rejuvenates me. I don't have to go anywhere else as long as I have some sun and a book, and then occasional hiking to just get that blood pumping. And then also, this is not a hobby, but this is something that might be good to know about me. I am an introvert. I know it might not seem like it here on YouTube, but I feel like there's several YouTubers that say they are introverts as well, and they're very good at talking to a camera once they get a little bit more comfortable with it. But when it comes to talking to people in real life, that's where we're not so good at it. And that's me as well. I'd rather talk to the camera, or I enjoy speaking to a large group of people. But then if I have to interact one-on-one, that's where I struggle so much. My husband is so good at it and just good at engaging people in really meaningful conversation. And I'm just like, ugh, and don't know what to say. I'm really, really bad at it. I always have been. I've never liked talking on the phone, just never. I'd memorize everything I had to say, because grew up in an age where you couldn't just text everyone and, have that cover your anxiety and stuff like that. You actually had to call them. And so I would call them and have it all memorized so that I wouldn't completely freak out. And then I'd just say the whole thing memorized and just hang up the phone. And that's how it always went for me. I just am not the most outgoing person. I didn't date a whole lot in high school. I am pretty quiet, pretty reserved. I've gotten a little bit more outspoken, or I don't know what you'd call it, as I've gotten older, a little bit better at communicating with other people, talking to them and not being so scared of it. But I prefer just being at home. I just like being at home and just chilling out, and yes, not talking to anybody. I'm just kidding. I still like certain interactions, but I just have very select, meaningful interactions with certain people, and that's good enough for me. Okay, so another question I thought that people might be interested in is why I started a YouTube channel. So I always wanted to do a blog ever since I think my first few years in college. It was something that was interesting to me and something that I could do and stay at home and be a mom. And so, sorry, I got hair just bugging me in my face. And so I wanted to always do that, but I just never knew what to do it about, or what I'd have enough content to do it about. So when we moved to Utah, which happened about 3 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna start a blog. And so I start doing some stuff and writing down ideas and basically documenting our homeschool journey. Our homeschooling experience gave me this way to, oh, I can start a blog now. I have something to talk about that we're doing every single day. So I started doing that, and at the time my husband had just started his own YouTube channel. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could record some things too and do YouTube. And I had posted a video on YouTube 9 years ago. It was part of one of my classes. We had to do a IT tech class for teaching secondary ed. And so I had done this cooking video way back when. And so I already had a YouTube channel technically that we had stuff on, one video. But so my husband had started YouTube. I wasn't familiar with it very much. I didn't really watch a whole lot of YouTube videos. And so since he had already started, I was like, and he had just bought cameras and all that stuff, I was like, okay, I'll try to record stuff. And I did it. I didn't do very consistently at all. It was once a month or maybe twice a month, and it was just very unpredictable. If I had something that I was blogging about that I thought would make a good video, then I'd make a video about it. But otherwise, I was just I'll just write it down and blog about it. And it still makes me nervous sometimes to videotape something, depending on videotape. We don't use that term hardly at all anymore. But anyways, it still makes me nervous sometimes to record things, but I'm a lot better at it than I was back then. It would just make me so anxious. But then I got a little bit more comfortable talking to the camera. Good thing you can't see, I'm still sweating right now. It's a little bit warm in here, and it just still makes me nervous to talk to people, and I just sweat. So if it starts dripping off my face, then we'll know that I'm really nervous. I'm just kidding. Or that I've been talking way too long. And so I was like, okay, I can do this. And so it just started with those little things, and I would sort of post every once in a while. And then eventually it kind of shifted. I don't do as much on my blog. Like I'll still post my videos on my blog, but I do more videos now. And that's what I've just kind of started doing. I actually enjoy it. It gets somewhat stressful sometimes trying to juggle everything, make sure I'm still paying attention to my kids, because I still want homeschool for us to be meaningful and not all about like just making a video about it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Obviously my channel is still really small, but my husband has, you know, been doing YouTube just a little bit longer than me, but he's a lot more familiar with stuff, and it's a lot of fun to have him, and we talk about things, and he films stuff and I film stuff, and you know, my kids are used to the camera just being around now. And it's been a good experience. I don't know, again, if it's like the super long-term thing, I'm not sure, but for right now, I feel like it's been good for me just to have an outlet to talk to people and to, you know, have this community network that I'm working with, and it makes my work in homeschool more focused, and I really think about it more when I have to try to convey thoughts to everyone here. So I feel like it's been good. It's been good for me, and hopefully it's been good for you too. But anyway, so that's why I started YouTube. Okay, we're just gonna go through the last few things pretty fast. Most of them are pretty quick things that I thought of. Went through some of the comments just in general on some of my videos and kind of picked any that could be good questions that maybe people would want to know about me. So my earrings are something people have asked about before. These were my favorites video, but these are from Amazon. I have several others that I really like. One of the companies is on Facebook. I think it's Downtown Druzy, if that's how you say it, I don't know, but I'll link a few of them below. But yeah, these ones are just from Amazon. I really like these ones and I wear them quite a bit. I also have a friend in Connecticut that just started making clay earrings, which I've been wearing recently in a lot of my videos, and those are really cute and fun as well. So I'll link her Etsy shop down below if you want to check it out. But I get comments sometimes. I always say that, but I'm like, I don't really get that many comments. But occasionally I get comments asking about things, and so people want to know about my earrings. And then how tall am I? I am 5'10", and I've been this tall basically since I was born. Like I just came out this big, and that's what it feels like, honestly. Like in 6th grade, I was always top center in all the class pictures. I was always there, and they'd have the little dances and stuff that you'd learn how to dance in elementary school, and then even in junior high, you know, you had the dances, and most of the boys were still like, they're so much shorter than me. And I know I'm like not huge. Like I know a lot of girls that are a lot taller than me, but a lot of people I'm around most of the time are a lot shorter than me. And so here I am. My mom is shorter than me. My grandma's shorter than me. I think I outgrew, my brother and my dad are the only ones in my extended family that are taller than me. So I outgrew everybody else, all my other cousins and aunts, uncles, all that. I am taller than them. So it was, growing up was, you know, it was a little bit of a struggle sometimes. Sometimes I wished I was a little bit shorter, but now, like, I'm totally fine with it. I like being tall. I don't mind it at all now, but at the time it was hard, and buying clothes was super hard, and I still have a hard time because my arms are like, they're over 6 feet, like wingspan this way, which is unusual for a 5'10" person. So they're humongous, and it's really hard to find like long sleeve shirts that fit, but I enjoy being tall. And then charter school, I was gonna mention if anybody had a question about charter school. I know I've mentioned a few times in this video, but my kids on Thursdays, which is actually today, I have nobody in my house right now because my kids are gone. My husband's on like mini spring break. So he went to have lunch with his dad for his birthday and took our 4-year-old with him. So I'm all alone right now in my house. But, and so what am I even talking about right now? Charter school. And so my kids are gone at charter school today. And that's just something that is through one of the charter schools. It's not even close to us. It's over 2 hours away, but they have distance learning programs. My video just stopped. So I've been talking too long, guys. That's why I stopped. Anyways, this video, I was like, it's gonna be a short one. And then here we are, like over 30 minutes later, and I'm still talking. But I was talking about charter school. I don't know exactly where the video cut off and where I'm picking up, but we're gonna just pretend that this is gonna work. Anyways, and so my kids go to this charter school one day a week from 9 to 3. And then they have access to their curriculum as well. And they have like a long list, and you can go in and pick and order it at the beginning of the year and then turn it in at the end of the year. And they have a few online learning programs that they also give us access to. And then my oldest, who's autistic, has an IEP with them. So we're able to do stuff with that as well, which has been nice. And then when it's non-pandemic in the world time, they also do field trips almost every single week. They have something they set up. They've done like nature, like a nature center type thing. They've done ice skating before. And so they have a lot of fun at different things, and you can sign up for them if you want, or you don't have to. And it's all paid for through the charter school. So it's been a good experience for us so far. It was a little rough with my oldest at the beginning, trying to find his little routine for it and for him to be okay and getting an aide hired and all that kind of stuff. But so far it's been a really good experience, and this is our we're almost done with our second year of doing it, and we've really enjoyed it. So my oldest 3 kids are in charter school, and it goes from like K to 5th or 6th grade, I think. And so it's been a good for me too, to just have a break, and then they go there and do something different. They do a lot of hands-on stuff, but they talk a lot about history and art. They always are bringing home all sorts of projects and things and fun things like that, and they do some science stuff. They play outside. You know, it's just been, it's a good break for me. It's a good break for them. Okay, so I think that's all we're gonna cover today. This video is long enough as it is, but if you have other questions for me, anything that popped into your head as you were watching this video, please put them down below so that I will know what you are interested in hearing next time, since these were just kind of my own formulated things that I'm like, oh, maybe people are interested in these things. Maybe you were completely not, and you've already fallen asleep. I don't really know. But if you want to leave me a question, just put it down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy seeing these types of videos, and I will see you next time.